Hello everyone, let's have ourselves a chat. I'm John from Rusty Chains, and today I would like to welcome you to Diamond or the Rough. This is our new series where we look around to find smaller, low-budget games that got somewhat overlooked when they were released. We check them out and see if they're an overlooked gem, or to find out if they're not great and slipped into obscurity for a reason. With that said, let's talk about Hotline Miami. What is there to say that hasn't been said? It was, and in a lot of ways still is, the poster child for indie success stories. It's arguably the best indie game of all time, and is on a lot of lists of best games of all time, period. It is incredible. It offers some of the most brutal yet satisfying melee combat in the history of video games, where the insane gore is still on display even in pixel form. The story of Hotline Miami knows how good the gameplay is, with the main theme of the game being the famous question, do you like hurting other people? It asks both the player and the main character what is so appealing about this type of violence, why they're drawn to it, and if it would be done under different circumstances. Our game of the day, I Am Your Beast, proudly wears its inspiration on its sleeve. The story isn't quite as philosophical as Hotline Miami, there's a similar message in this case, but the premise and stubbornness of the characters sets it apart. The general gist of it is that you play as Alphonse Harding, a top operative in the COI, which is a CIA stand-in. He's stationed in a remote forest, which he's really taken a liking to. Some of his coworkers come into the forest and begin abusing the local wildlife for fun, which causes Harding to snap and then kill them. Harding's boss, General Birkin, calls and says he can make that go away if Harding performs one last mission. He declines, having performed 5 one last missions, and Birkin decides he has to have Harding killed. As a result, the game is everyone throwing everything they have at each other in a stupid game of chicken, which Harding even repeatedly says it's stupid. It's not a commentary about the response to violence, but rather about how a cycle of violence and suffering just perpetuates itself. I honestly found myself enjoying the characters a lot. They're pretty subdued, but are acted very well and they sound incredibly natural. Harding in particular is a lot of fun as a character. There are 27 story levels, with all but 2 of them having little narrative segments in between to bridge to the next level. There are also 9 levels in the Support Group expansion with the same level structure. Support Group is a free level pack that takes place after the main game. Rather than being from Harding's point of view, it's from a few low-ranking henchmen who survived the events of the main story, and they're all in therapy together talking about it. I won't spoil what makes the levels of the DLC unique, but they're very fun to play through. Now, onto the gameplay. Both this game and Hotline involve running your way through an area full of people that want you dead. You'll be fighting them with all kinds of grenades, traps, knives, fists, and your feet. Fantastic music is bumping throughout, complementing but never quite drowning out the violence. The gameplay's just awesome. As you move through the level, you're slowly working up your arsenal to get better and better equipment from your foes. Throwing a weapon at your enemy to knock them down or killing them causes their weapon to fly up into the air for you to catch right away and just keep your chain going without ever losing any momentum. It's so fun. What I like about this game compared to similar time trial action games is that it is very fair to the player's inventory. Now what I mean by that is as soon as something becomes available to your enemies, it is for you as well. You've reached the point in the game where enemy snipers start being added to levels? Great! You can either find your own sniper rifles or take theirs to use. The enemies are wearing ballistic vests and helmets to become a bit tankier? Okay, find their supply tents and odds are you can find a helmet or vest lying around for you to get the same protection. Honestly, it actually might be unfair, in the sense that you have abilities the enemy doesn't. You can sprint, you can jump, and you can throw shit. They can't. You want to grab a bear trap and just yeet it at an enemy's head? You can go for that, but they can't do that to you. In that sense, the game is a bit of a power fantasy. Now, it kind of needs to be one for you to keep coming back, because there isn't much in the way of progression to this game. No unlockables or things like that. Almost every achievement is just, finish this level. The real sense of progress is completing the levels as fast as you can for better times and higher scores. Every level also has 2 bonus objectives. These are challenges like complete the level getting kills only with guns and only in hip fire, or finish the level with at least 7 throwing knife kills, things like that. The trick to them is that you have to manually enable one of the bonus objectives, which requires you beat the level once normally to unlock. You then have to beat that bonus objective, to unlock and toggle over to the other one. So to get 100% completion of the game, you need to do a minimum of 3 runs on every level, or more if you didn't get an S rank on at least one of those runs. You can usually just finish a level and move on to the next one without issue. There were 2 points where I hit a roadblock. After you finish story level 19, you need to rack up a total of 10 bonus objective completions to continue. And after level 24, you need to have at least 1 S rank to continue. Yes, that's a self-report that I didn't get any S ranks on my first attempts. Now, I won't lie, that kind of bothered me a bit. Both of these roadblocks happened at pivotal turns in the story and forced me to go and replay older levels a bunch of times. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I wanted to get the story done so I could finish this review, and then I had to go back for a checklist. I was even questioning why they were called bonus objectives if there was a point where they actually do just become mandatory. They're just objectives at that point. After flying through the story, hitting a wall and having to go back really felt like the brakes were slammed on my playthrough. Part of me wonders if that was to prevent the refunds on the game, because the game is very short. There's 27 levels in the base story, like I said. But even after going back to get the bonuses and the S rank, I still finished the campaign in 2 hours and 13 minutes. Without having to go back, I definitely would have come in under the 2-hour mark for Steam refunds. The 9 support group levels only took me about half an hour to finish the whole batch. I don't know if that's the motivation to just pad the game out to avoid the refund timer, but finishing both those campaigns in their current state took me just under 3 hours total. This blocking of progression is the one big problem I had with the game. Now, outside of the campaign and the support group, there's also challenge mode. There's an extra set of levels with additional mutators to run, so that's something to get you some more time with the game. Those levels are unlocked in whatever order. Each one has a specific requirement and is unlocked when you meet that requirement, regardless of what other challenge levels you have. They've also announced more content will be coming to the game in 2025. Alright, so update. While I was editing this, that new content for 2025, at least some of it came out, and I had to go back and play the new stuff. The new update adds Cold Sweat mode, which is a terrifyingly accurate name. It's a few of the different levels from the base game ripped apart with new geometry, and they have some new elements and new added enemies and difficulty. The first time you go to play it, the game actually warns you that this is the hardest content in the game by far, and the team doesn't actually expect some players to finish all the levels. And I guess I'm some players, because I played Cold Sweat for over an hour, and I only finished 3 of the levels from that batch. It's hard as hell, but it was another free edition, which is really cool. So that just about covers I Am Your Beast. It's really fun. I had a great time with it. This is the first thing that scratched the Hotline Miami itch for me since that series ended, and this being in first person makes it even more of my jam. Like I said, my only major hang-up is some progression blocks, but I think it's a pretty good sign when my only major complaint about a game is I can't play more of it right now. The game costs $20, and for that price, I've got no qualms about recommending it. It gets a big thumbs up from me, and I'm confident that our first episode has revealed an early diamond, which I'll definitely be sinking more time into playing. What do you think? Are you going to give this game a whirl? Let us know in the comments below, and also please let us know if you've got any other games you'd like to see us cover on this show. Until next time, don't forget to spread that happy and stay rusty.